Good morning, gang. It's Kevin, Life22, and I guess the one thing I did not watch last night's council meeting. What we're talking about today is the results of the school board meeting. So now I know there's some people that are upset. There's some people that were running that, you know what? It is kind of funny because there were a few people I thought I would be worried about winning the school board. Like actually, that's what it comes down to most of the time is the school board race being like just a being like I want to make sure this person wins because I don't want that person to win. And as we've discussed on the show, in the big grand scheme of things, like all these people that are running for school board think that there's something they're going to be able to do about it, and there really isn't. Like you run for school board so that you can sit on a board so you can enact the will of the State Department of Education. Like you have to implement it. If they say you have to put litter boxes in the bathrooms and tampons in the boys' room, you have to do it. Like you have to. Like so the only reason you're there is just to be a soldier in an army that you may or may not believe in. So, but you know, there's other people that have differing opinions on that. I do think it takes dedication and finding that there are maybe inefficiencies from a from non-political topics, right? There might be inefficiencies in the system that you see as a school board member, and you can you can write policy that takes that into account. Um, But other than that, I mean, there's not a lot you really can do. I know, like in the years past when I ran, there was some real people that I thought were left wing kind of like kooks, and I'm glad that I ran because, like, if anything, you know, people that got in were like middle of the field, and you know, I didn't win, but I feel like I also didn't. I prevented them from winning. So it was one of those like that's usually what school board races come down to. It's never like this is the best candidate. And this year it was like there wasn't a lot. There was no real like bad candidates. I mean, I've mentioned the one that I didn't like on the show, but even he wasn't a reason to like run to make sure that he didn't win. Um, I think that all the candidates that were running presented a good case for like why they should be on the school board. And for the most part, what I was not expecting was Kathy Young's ability to turn out voters. She turned out more voters than a pimp on the street. Like people were turning out. They were tricking it out like yesterday. I went there. I talked to people that went in the middle of the afternoon on their lunch breaks. There was a line out the door. The middle school parking lot was packed. Uh, uh, when me and my wife went there, apparently we just missed a bigger rush. Like there was a line down Wayne Street. Like you couldn't even get down Wayne Street because people were trying to take a right into the parking lot of the middle school. It was like, and then the line was out the door. So which is not common for a school board race. 40% of people or 40%. Jesus, it's like 4% of people show up for the school board. I mean, like we're talking like you get a city of like 12 million people, and I'm sure the school district is a little bit bigger than that. Just because there's kids in the school district that are outside of they don't have their own school district and things like that. So, um, but you have like 12,000 people in the city of Olean, and you have like 100 to 250 people show up to vote. It is like that's what like I think there's 4 to 5,000 registered voters in Ward 4, for example, and depending on the year, they typically get like 250 people to vote, 189 to like 300 depending on the year, and it's like that's like 3 or 4 thousand people. Like it's not a large number, but then you go to the school board, it's 3 or 4 thousand people. That's it's and I don't know. It's just when you've got the city is like 4,000, or 12 to 14,000 people. And then you probably have a district that's more like, 18,000 people because they count in this, town of Olean or what have you. But you start doing all these, and it's like, that they have the same turnout as Ward 4 for like a generic race. Like it always drives me nuts. I bet you yesterday was thousands of people turning out to vote. It was nuts. Um, so I have to give Kathy that. I think Kathy's going to be sorely disappointed in what she can and can't do. I know a lot of people were talking about, well, she's going to out the superintendent. It's like, okay, who are you going to find in her place? Like there's state requirements for superintendents. You have, you only have a big enough pool to pick from, and it took us forever to find one after Rick Moore stepped down. So, I mean, we had interim ones, and it's like, okay, so you're going to go to an interim one because you don't like this one. I don't see you and three others on the board calling enough support to remove the superintendent. Now for the election, or for the special board meeting, I heard about that Tuesday night. No, Monday night when I got home. I had received some text messages from people, and they were like, "What are your thoughts on this? I think that's BS." And then doing more research, come to find out that since prior to Rick Moore's time, and I think even the superintendent before him, they had been just going through every year and renewing the superintendent's contract so that they always consistently had 4 years, a 4-year term on the superintendent. So they did not have, so they didn't have a gap in superintendents. And then, so I guess the argument's up in the air, because what I've also learned was that they were literally just calling in the final acceptance on this, but like the proposal to extend all of said contracts. And if you watch anybody's live Facebook stream from last night, there was a bunch of different contracts. You had the business manager, you had certain other offices, the assistant superintendent, the superintendent. They have there may have been some principals. I think there was the IT director was on there. Like, they just have all these different appointments and contracts that they renew on an annual basis for 1-year extensions. So it just seems like it was more commonplace than it was strategically timed. And people are going to be like, well, why did they time it this time? Well, it was because they had to accept the resignation of the elementary school principal at Eastview, because pretty much he got forced out. And he's the third principal in like 3 years, which is a ridiculously high turnover. I wonder what's going on at that school, and I wish we could cover more of that going into the future as information presents itself. And we could get on a whole show on what we know so far. And that was the reason that he had resigned the day before, on like Monday. So they had to have a special meeting to accept it, because they have only so many days to accept someone's resignation. And so that was the reason why it happened just now. Otherwise, it would have just been in the next couple weeks. It would have happened 2 weeks ago, or it would have happened more recently. And I think it would have actually happened in the past. But because we had all the step downs and they had to appoint interim people, they didn't do this sooner. And with that said, I know that I've seen like some past board members criticizing like the renewal. And it's funny because from all, I'd have to foil for this information to get the names on it, but in order to bring all these propositions forward to a vote, they need all 9 members to vote in on it. So all 9 members voted for these to be voted on at a later date, at which point, like, it was already accepted that they would do the renewals of the contract, and then to renew each contract. So, and it's funny that they had to have all 9 members, and this would have gone down prior to any of them stepping down. So you didn't want to vote for it. You wouldn't have voted for it. You think it's ridiculous, but you're one of the votes that was like brought it to the floor. So I just think that was humorous. But yeah, and then I've talked to other people, and they're like, I don't know why, to be good stewards of our thing, like, why wouldn't you just let someone's contract run out, and prior to it running out or expiring, you would like have another one presented to them to redraft it and to extend it and re-sign a new contract at that time if that person's doing their job. Why extend prematurely people's contracts, which I completely get behind. But if this has been common practice, it wouldn't be hard for a board that deals with a lot of crap on a daily basis, on a yearly basis, to just go with the motions and not question the status quo. Things that, sometimes things, they seem like they're just part of how the mechanism works. And so a lot of people don't, they don't question it because they think that's just how the rules work. Well, we just renew this every year. Just like they reaccept and adjust Title IX changes every year, right? So that's, but then again, it is what it is. I'm trying to think. Also, I heard that they also negotiated additional terms into the contract. So when one doing this acceptance, they're able to modify the entire contract as a whole. Like her travel time in and outside of our district was also a concession that was given to extend her contract. So, it was little things, like the little wins you get, because once you start getting into contract negotiations, it's not so simple as the public doesn't want it, so it can't be that way, because that's a very emotional response, and emotions have no place in a lot of these places. Like, I get people are going to be like, oh, it is emotional because it's my kids. It's like, I get that. The problem is that when you're dealing with the real world, like, emotions are fine when, like, you're kissing your kids goodnight and you want to get in your feels. The problem is when you're going day-to-day life, you're not supposed to let emotions run your day. You're not supposed to. You can feel emotions throughout your day. You're not supposed to be an automaton, but they're not supposed to be guiding. They're supposed to just be, they're like background noise. Like, that's what it is. Like, you're angry at work, you don't convey it, because if you start being angry at work, everyone else is going to be angry at work. And they're going to take it as hostile. And now you've created a hostile work environment. Like, if you're super happy, you know what I mean? Like, if you're super happy, hey, great for you. But, like, that's not how you're making decisions throughout your day. Is not based on happy. Is not based on, like, love and caring. You're supposed to be making decisions that are logical. So, like, that's the big issue everyone's always having, is that they let their emotions run rampant. And I always suggest that people review books like Emotional Intelligence and things like that, so you can get a better understanding of where your emotions come from, and then, like, they have a place. It's just not in decision making. And so that's why people up there that have to, have dictats over thousands of students, they can't just be like, well, let's throw the rule book out to make this one exception because it's called favoritism. And it's like, but the situation, like, if the situation is truly dire and different, like, then maybe you can rule differently on that one because of its, because of its differences from everything else and from the policy and the intent of the policy in comparison to this one-off case. But that's not the case. Most people don't. They rule on emotion, and that's not what you're there for. And so you have to be unemotional when you're dealing with a lot of these things. And it sucks because, like, it does have to deal with kids, and you want to be emotional, but you're not supposed to. And that's the tough noogies in the whole argument. But all right, guys. Well, I got to get some kids up so I can send them back to the district so they can, I don't know. I doubt it's going to look like, like World War II France. So I think everything's going to look the same as it did yesterday. But just covering some bases on yesterday's race. So congratulations to Malik, Calby, and Young. Better luck next time, de Blasi and Tim. It was great having you on the show. I know there's a lot of people out there that just, still hope that you stay involved and stay in with the district, because it's one of those things. We need more people involved on all sides. And so even if you're not on even if you're not on the board, you should still keep involved and keep in touch and talk out at school board meetings and ask questions. And that's what it's there for, because that's why government moves so slow, because you want it to move slow in not just one direction, not just the other. You want it to kind of stay kind of a vibrating ball in the middle where it's getting resistance from forces on both sides. And so it can still move forward. It's just not swaying in one direction or the other. And that's what you always need. So, all right, guys, we'll catch you tomorrow on Life 22.